Absolutely. Speaking of errors, what is one failure that you cherish, and what lesson did you take away from that moment?
I have no failures, so love it.
Wait, we're losing battery power, so she's gonna plug it in.
Okay.
Jeez.
And maybe like if you could relate it to like, I don't know, life after skating. Like so something maybe that's completely unrelated to the sport of skating, if you have any that come to mind.
It's interesting. So many different things in life, like goals that I had set and they didn't reach them. There's so many of them. For example, like like to be Olympic champion would have been awesome, and I got 2 silvers, and it's great. And so many people are like, oh my god, I would love to have 2 silvers. Like Kurt even talks about it. He's done Olympics, and he's like, dude, you have 2 silvers. I don't have any, Olympic medals, and he has 4 worlds. And I look at that, and then I'd be like, you know what? I've had moments where the not, reaching what I wanted spurred me on to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, I was going to be the first Canadian male to win Olympic gold. That didn't happen because Brian tried. He was so close. Kurt couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Patrick couldn't do it. At that time, I was like, that was a big one that I had to kind of let go. So I took all that, I guess, spiritual energy, and I focused it and I spread it out into a bunch of different things. So mainly it's the acting, which I just want to be the best that I can be at it and just give everything I have towards it. So it's like, if you don't accomplish one thing, you can still use that impetus within you to channel it. And don't be, once you get over being discouraged, it's just human nature. You bring yourself down, but then if you can channel that and throw it into another goal and set yourself on that, it's fuel, and you can use it no matter what happened. Like even in 95, I had an injury. I couldn't defend my Canadian title. I had 8 weeks to get ready for Worlds. So I channeled that and then won Worlds again and defended my title at the World Championships. So I was able to use the energy and channel it in a different way. So even if I'm doing auditions, same thing. Like I channel it, and I get really close to a part, and I get down to the last 2 guys, but they give it to someone else. Well, take channeling of that and go for another thing. So there's a lot of different things that you just change. If you're able to adapt and change, I think it's one of the most usable techniques that you can have in life, because it's always shifting. As we know, life always shifts. You can keep your eye on your target, where you want to go. So I use my target as, no matter what I do, I want to be the best at it, the best that I can be. So, I got my focus on my acting, but the way I get there, sometimes it's like this. It's adapt, not be stuck in my set ways, know who I am, but have some flexibility and be able to adapt it on the fly. And then, again, I do these talks, especially now, for skaters, athletes that are like, what do we do now with the coronavirus? We can't get to a rink. What do we do? Well, okay, adapt. Take the emotion, set it in, do dryland training, still do off ice jumps if that's what you're good at doing. Channel that in. Got my combination of exercises that I do. The pick skate. We do some with that. We're getting some of the can ice, synthetic ice, the top stuff. We're gonna have that put down in the basement, so at least we can feel that gliding edge. So it's being able to adapt and adjust and try to keep the down as short as possible, so that you can get back on the upswing.
Right.
It's that drive to pull you to where you want to go.
Well, and I feel like it's just a choice, because there's really interesting science behind the whole concept of coming second versus coming third. Like feeling like instead of winning second, you lost gold. So I feel like instead of being stuck on that and allowing that to define you in any way, you've just refocused.
Right.
And both of you, in many ways, have had that moment of like, okay, I can either sit here and act like I've lost gold, or I can decide I've won silver. And I have had a moment that so many other people would die for, and redefining what that looks like. And actually, Alessia just got synthetic ice too in her basement.
I was thinking that. I say it was my isolation purchase.
One of the shares, the big thing that, especially with artists, you know, when they look at like someone that's a carver, a woodworker, he'll look at a piece of wood and not create something, but take away what's not needed to reveal what's already there. So all these very tough situations that we've all gone through, I've gone through in my career, it didn't create me right now. It didn't create who I am. It just revealed who I already was since the beginning. And then what that did was show who I was, and I realized all my gifts. I realized who I was. And once you realize that, you're like, oh my God, I could plug that into anything.
Yeah.
And then from there, you're like, okay, why was I hung up so much on this? Why was I depressed on it? And the clarity comes, life becomes so much more enjoyable, and certain things become so much easier because of that mentality. And that mental set of being able to get rid of the unessentials, the clutter. We talked about getting rid of the clutter to reveal who you are. If people that they clutter and hold things together because that's their security. Now, letting go of the things that are not needed to reveal who you are.
I think that's a really strong point, because even personally, I found a really hard time after competitive skating. Like we said, kind of redefining ourselves. And I think that's a really good point. Generating that passion, that fire, that skill set that you naturally have, and plugging it into something else. And I had to learn the hard way, because I hid behind my skating title. I didn't know who I was beyond Alessia, the figure skater. So I really like that we can pull from our skill set and plug it into something else. And that's a really strong point.
And it's always what sucks through it all. It's always through the struggle that you can break the pieces that are stubborn, that are stuck, that are covering up a certain aspect of your being. Once the stubbornness and that ability to let go, or you go through a really tough time, it breaks free and it hurts, but then all of a sudden it reveals something about you. And sometimes you're protecting yourself. Sometimes athletes, skaters are afraid. They're afraid of failure, but a lot of times they're afraid of success. So
that's a
they
good
put
one.
a block where they stop themselves because they're afraid of the possibility of what it could be like. And what it entails when you achieve it, because they think, oh, well, if I achieve this, what is there left to achieve? I'm gonna be unhappy now.
I reach my goal,
and then that's
what?
it. So they're afraid of reaching.
So you're always
they're
on the hunt.
They're always on the hunt. Well, no, achieve the goal and then move on to something else.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something else. Don't be afraid of achieving the goal. Don't be afraid of failure, because that's part of breaking away all the things that are unessential and realize that, oh, well, this is, like my racing coach, he loved asking questions. He's so intense. Dave Tennyson is his name. And he asked me once, how many attempts, did it take to do a certain jump? And I took triple axel. I kind of broke it down, all the years and attempts. And I came out to roughly 5,000 attempts before I actually landed my first one. And instead of saying, I failed 5,000 times, I said, no, I just found out 5,000 different ways of how not to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm writing these quotes down.
Figured it out.
That's great.
For me, it was going back to the failure question. We don't, in my family, we don't like to look as failure as something bad. We try not to, you're a loser, you're a failure because you didn't win, or you didn't, there's no failing. It's just tries. You pick a path, you try to go that direction, you figure it out in the middle of the way that you didn't like it. My sisters, some of my sisters, my brother, we all had a moment where we chose careers. And in the middle of a semester, we just went, I don't think I like this. I don't think this is for me. And instead of finishing 4 years of university, we went back and we restarted something else because there's no mistakes.
Right.
You're learning who you are. So why should I do something for the next 10 years of my life that I didn't like from the beginning, but I wasn't strong enough to say, I don't want to, maybe my parents aren't going to be happy. Maybe I wasted a whole semester or a whole year or whatever. Maybe people lose 5 years in a relationship and then at the end they realize they were with the wrong person. It's not wasted time. We never look at it wasted time. It's just teaching time. You were just learning more about yourself. You were just learning more about the situation where if we didn't have those particular moments, maybe we weren't be able to talk with you guys and help other people how to you know, improve their lives or you know, have some advice on it, because if I never went through it, then how can I talk from experience?
It's like trying, it's like, you know, trying things twice. The first time you don't like it, try it once just to make sure. Oh, nope, this is definitely not what I like, and then move on. You know, and it's like going, like, for me, academics. I finished high school. I went to university for a couple of years, and I went because my parents wanted me to. It was supposedly the right thing to do. My agent wanted me to do it. It looks good on paper. La la la. I went and I was like, I was done after like 3 years of part-time. I was like, this is not for me. I want to go and do stuff. I couldn't sit there and just, you know, learn from the person giving me that info. It was, I would need something really interesting for me to really grasp upon, but it was nothing that, you know, I wanted to do. So I told them, I said, look, I'm done with this. I need to just let this go. I want athletics. I want to do art. I want to do acting. Even my agent back in the day was a wonderful man. He didn't want me to act because he had a bad experience with the business. And that was tough because it was again, you know, doing this. So I really had to push to try to, you know, go that direction.
But in there, the other thing that I was going to say, besides there's no failures because there's really no wasted time, for me was a lot of people, they didn't make the decisions for me, but they changed the idea that I had onto their vision of how they wanted me to do things. Does that make sense?
Right.
I have a, and then you have this external voices saying, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. You should do it my way, you know, or you should do what I think is best for you. But then it's still not coming from within me, meaning maybe sometimes other parents of other kids were whispering and saying that I was approaching skating the wrong way, or I wasn't the right look, or that music wasn't the best, or my dress was awful, or I don't know, whatever they wanted to say.
Got an opinion.
And then maybe I had my own coaches sometimes second guessing our approach to training because they were being influenced by other coaches or other people or what other people say. Or like I said, university, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and all my life I wanted to be a veterinarian, and all my life I've been connected to animals, but yet I got told many times that I wasn't going to be rich from being a veterinarian, that I wasn't going to be happy, that it was a, you know,
Right.
a career that could make money and was important, and it would look good in my resume. Did I finish? No, because it wasn't something that I chose. It wasn't something that I wanted. So just make sure to make the decisions for yourself, and you can hear to the external voices, but don't make decisions based on what other people think that is the best for you.
Get rid of the clutter, the little voices that be, and believe it or not, you can let it in, and then all of a sudden after a while you're like, where's this coming from? And it could be something implanted, somebody said. And that's why getting rid of certain people in your life, once you figure it out, once you remove them and have the real people that are supporting you, what you want for you, and support you with your decision, then you have the right group, the right team around you, and you have less clutter.
It was the same thing with modeling. The very first time I took a photo shoot, it was just because I happened to meet this photographer and we got along, and he said, I think, you'll do great on a photo shoot. I had no idea. We did it. I posted some photos, and some people were like shocked that I actually did it because they never saw me as a model. They're like, but you're older and you're not, extremely in shape, and you're a little bit bigger than the regular model, and you're shorter than the regular model, and you this, like all these things where you shouldn't do it, but yet other people were like, oh my God, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. So you have like your supporters and your haters. What are you going to do? Are you going to do whatever you want because you have supporters, or are you going to do whatever, you're going to move the picture and stop pursuing that career because all these people said you're not 175, you're not like 6 foot tall, or you're not 16 years old. Like, what do? You do what you want.
Right.
You do what is the best for you. And then, boom, I started modeling, and then people shut up. When I started doing, they're like, oh my God, because now that you did it, they're like, oh, I want to rebel with it.
Come back in.
Right.
Yeah.
So with those perspectives and with those lessons, what do you think the best takeaway for somebody who's making the transition out of competitive skating into the rest of their life? So maybe Gladys, like, it would be really interesting to hear from you from a casting perspective. And then Elvis, I'd love to know from a decorum perspective, like everything we've talked about today, how do you think that this information can help somebody making that transition?
Well, as a casting director, let's say I have a show that I need to cast and it's 20 people, and then I get 200 auditions. Not everybody is going to get a chance. And sometimes it's really hard to send emails saying, I'm so sorry, but we don't have a spot for you. And I don't want you guys to take it personal. And I've had this before, as where I'm in the other side telling a performance director, telling me, thank you very much, but you're not what we're looking for, right? Including modeling gigs and auditions, and we get told no all the time, but you never really know why, and it might not be because of you.
Okay, sorry guys, we had a slight technical issue, but we're just going to get back to Gladys's perspective from a casting director. So you had started saying, Gladys, that it's really important that you're not taking things personally, that there's 1,000,001 reasons why you might not get the yes you're looking for.
Exactly. So don't take it as I'm not good enough. If I didn't get a job my first try with this company, that doesn't mean that you'll never get a job. You guys got to understand that every time we do a casting, we're looking for very specific individuals. So it can be where I need somebody to do a backflip. And if you don't do a backflip, then you're not what I need. And not everybody can do a backflip. Or I need somebody to be able to do pairs. But I also need that per person to be able to jump. And not a lot of per partners can do both disciplines, because maybe you're a line dancer or you're an adagio, but I actually need a jumping pair. So there is so many different discretions when we're doing auditions. The place where you live, you might need a visa. The airplane ticket where I am flying you from, let's say I have 3 people fighting for the same spot, but you're in Russia, you're in America, and you're in Canada, and I am producing the show in Canada. Budget-wise, who am I going to go with? The one that is going to be the cheaper, the one that is going to be closer. But it doesn't mean that my European skater is not better or as good. Of course, I would love to have everybody, but I have to follow a budget. I have a boss. I'm not making all decisions on my own. So I'm giving, a list of things, and then I just filter through them, and that's how auditions are. And I personally really, really try to encourage kids to keep their resume updated. Sometimes I get really bad auditions, like really bad. I'm not talking about the quality of the video. I talk about the material that they submit. I specifically asked for, send me a headshot and send me a full photo. No, they send me a selfie from them at the bar. And I'm like, well, that's like that's
Well, I know you can have fun, but
Yeah, they don't even follow the instructions, so it's just like,
And then they send me. I asked for a link, for a video so I can take a look at what you're doing, and it's perfectly if you want to put a little bit of a performance or a competition that you've done. If you don't have enough material from your shows, then you can put a segment from a competition, or you can tape yourself skating at the rink. But please don't send me 15-minute videos of your skating. I don't have 15 minutes times 200.
yeah.
So I will skip it, and whatever I get to see, I see. So sometimes you're an amazing skater, but you're sending me a video that is 6-7 minutes. Normally, audition videos shouldn't be more than 2 minutes. If you can put it in between, think Instagram. Instagram is 1 minute. And there's a reason why it's 1 minute, because people lose interest.
Yeah. Now attention spans, like people asked about the documentary series that I have on Instagram. Hey, where can we see it?
You're watching it.
You're watching it.
This is it.
There's a whole bunch of episodes. They're all 1 minute little chunks,
Mhm.
and they all have a little story behind it. Maybe later on I may have my friend connect it all into one, so it becomes one, maybe half an hour or 40 minutes, but it's in chunks. Or auditions that I do for acting. If I have a reel that I put together, my reel better not be longer than 3 minutes, and I have chunks of stuff because the casting agency or whoever I'm sending it to, they don't have time to go through like 5 or 6 minutes of the same thing. So looking at auditions, it's the best your highlights. Boom, 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 done. This is me, done, finished.
Also, don't send me, here's my waltz jump. Here's my single salchow. My double salchow. Here's all the way to triple. So I watched 40 jumps. I'm like, couldn't you have started with like, if you had triple toe, couldn't you have started showing triple toe?
Yeah.
I think we could have skipped your single toe and your double toe. Like, highlight the best you're skating,
Yeah.
but also don't make it robotic where you forget to put a little bit of yourself.
Yeah.
Meaning, it's like jump, 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 or spiral, or spin. It's nice to see you skating and performing and flowing. Maybe add some music to it, or if you were at the rink, try to do some movements
Personality.
with
To your
some
personality.
rhythm, so I can see how you move. Because if you just send me like a machine, your technical elements, then I can have a feel for you as a human. And maybe the show that I'm putting together, it's an avant-garde, super dramatic, and then I have this person that I am casting, and when they show up the day of rehearsals, I'm like, oh man, you won't be able to move the way I need you to move. I'm not saying you're not amazing, but maybe your movement is gonna be harder to try to include you in what we're doing. So maybe you're gonna stand out instead of blending in.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that helps. So if I'm gonna do a rock show, well, I'm looking for like a lot of energy, and I need somebody to have. I'm not gonna hire somebody that is like amazing lines and soup, because maybe they're gonna have trouble, blending and adapting in. So you gotta understand the necessities of the show, and they might have nothing to do with you.
And so how do you kind of maintain your confidence? Maybe Elvis, you can touch on this kind of from a performance perspective, but also a decorum perspective and perseverance. Was there a process that you went through? I know we kind of touched on know thyself, but in professional environments, what's the best advice you can give to someone to maintain that level of decorum and professionalism while still persevering and not getting shot down with every no? Like, just keep going for the yes.
Yeah, in my situation, especially, we'll use the acting as the example, because a lot of people say, oh, you have a great opportunity. People know you. This is great. Acting, doors should open for you. Yes and no. Like, some doors will open, but my acting ability better keep those doors open. Okay, that's one aspect. But because I'm an athlete, there's a lot of casting directors that don't think that I can act, that I'm allowed to be in it, because I already have a persona as a skater.
Right.
So how do people see me as an actor? Oh, well, and of course, there's a number of athletes out there who've seen it in the States, and they tried to act and it was terrible, so they ruin it for everyone else.
Yeah.
Because they name to be put in there and then whatever. For me, I listened to, especially at the very beginning of it, when I was really kind of pushing in to really go for the acting. I was really listening to some really good coaches that I worked with, Brad Milne Studios, the Pro Actors Lab, and Louis Beaumander at LB Acting. And Louis is amazing. And one of the things he told me, especially probably one of the first few private lessons I had with him, I did a number of group sessions with different peers and people in the business. And he said to me, we worked together, and I work the best one-on-one. That's just how I am. In school, I was in a group setting was really hard for me for learning. One-on-one is what I needed, the connection. And we did our first or second class, and he said, Elvis, this you should be doing this. This should be your career, I'm telling you. And he says, now on, you gotta remember, no matter what happens, no matter where you go with auditions, in an audition room, no matter where you are, know that you belong. Know that you belong. And you're always a work in process. It's always a work in process, no matter what you do, no matter you're world champion or wherever level you are. It's always a work in process, because you're always trying to get to that next level for yourself. And you can gauge yourself by the audition, by getting a part, by people talking. You can kind of gauge, but you really got to know yourself and gauge against other people, but in a very healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? In this category right now, I have the look to play. Like when they said, they do these tests where you're on screen and everyone looks at you on screen and everyone has to guess what type of look you have, and it's what's your hit, what's your hit. And the guy said it was at Pro Actors Lab, and the hit was you have the leading guy look. The only problem is there's a lot of guys that are really good in your category. So I'm like, okay, now it's great, but I'm up against some seriously good people that have been doing this for a long time. So I've got to up my game. No problem. I love a challenge, so that's great. Taking that on, it's hard. But I like that challenge. When they say it can't be done, I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I go after when they say, oh, you'll never be an actor. Yeah, I am. No, you're just gonna piss me off and make me stronger. So I use that as fuel.
Right.
And however, it's not this. I always say it's not the situation that happens; it's how you react to it that determines the outcome.
And said this, there's I think from 100 emails, there's only one or two that will ask me, because I send out who's hiring, who's not, and I always try to keep in touch with everybody to let them know what's happening, because the worst thing that can happen to somebody is silence. Complete silence, because you don't know if they got the message, if you did it right or you did it wrong, or how can you improve. When there's no feedback, you're in blank. And I'm always asking for feedback, but not a lot of people do. But it's very rare the skater that will write me back saying, hey, do you have any feedback? I understand that at this moment I won't be able to participate in your production, but I would love to participate with you or work with you in a future production. Great. Number one, they're interested. They're interested to work with you. Second, he's asking me for a feedback, so he wants to improve himself. So maybe the next video is going to be more amazing than the video that he just sent me. So then automatically, I'm going to keep an eye on this person, right? As a human being, they want to be better. They're not just satisfied and content with, well, this should be enough. Like Elvis says, there's always room for improvement. So if you don't ask, you're not going to get the answer. Performance directors are not just going to come and tell you, well, your video was 7 minutes long. We're never going to tell you that. If you ask me, hey, I would love to know how to improve my approach I can tell you your restaurant this, you can add this, you send me the wrong photos, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like all of those things, they're not even things that you have to do on ice.
Right.
This have nothing to do with your skating skills. This has to do with your presentation skills. How do you sell yourself? How do you present yourself to the world?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's just a presentation card. You're giving me, here, hire me.
I hope you didn't need that.
Oh, like a nice, like my presentation is so nice.
Right.
You make it more enticing, and you might not be better than the other person, but the other person's presentation was not clear, and you know, I couldn't understand what they were selling.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe your product is not as high quality, but your sell material is better, your presentation is better, and this is something that people should be working on right now during quarantine at home. You know, sometimes you forget to, I don't know, the last time I did my resume was 2019, so I bet there's a couple of things that I need to add on it because I haven't last year. So you should brush it up, you know, on your resume and what have you done, and maybe a new little picture. Try to take up you know, better photos, even if it's with your phone. Edit videos, grab a little, you know, 2 seconds here, 5 seconds here from things that you've done that you're like, I really want to, you know, highlight my new reel. Those things take time, and when we audition, normally it's like, boom, send me the video tomorrow. You only have 5 days. In those 5 days, you're not going to have time to create a whole new video. So try to always have something half ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when time comes, it's just a matter of like tweaking it and sending it. And I'm always on top of his acting stuff too, because when we have to submit for auditions for either skating or casting, they always want a bio. So I'm always like, hey, let's redo your bio. Let's take another photo. Let's, even if you don't need it immediately, you don't know when you're gonna need it.
Those skaters are actually really lucky to get feedback, because usually in acting you don't get any feedback. You don't hear anything. So sometimes, very rare, I've had some feedback, and that's great, because they're like, oh, Elvis, you were great, and we had you right down to the last 2 guys, but we went the director went. Like, I've had where casting actually picked me for the part, but director didn't. But they gave me some feedback, but it's really rare. So you hear nothing. So and all of a sudden it goes by, and then the part, you'll see it on TV, and I'm like, oh, obviously I didn't get the part. But it's one of those things where you got to keep the confidence up, knowing that it's okay. You know what I mean? So it's just, you put it out there, you do the best you can, and then you just get on to other work. Don't hang on that one thing that everything is in one basket. Sorry, our 3 dogs are kind of like, what's going on?
We should have a dog question.
Oh,
Which one is that?
It's her birthday yesterday.
happy belated birthday.
Birthday. Yeah, she's 8.
I guess just to summarize, any final words of advice? I know a big thing was generating and channeling energy, I guess, that we all had for skating into new endeavors. So any other words of advice?
You can do multiple things, and Elvis can vouch on that. You're not
a one-trick pony.
Right.
like, how can I say? You can be a champion in 5, 6, 7, 10 different things around your life.
Right.
You don't have to just leave it on the ice. Meaning,
I don't think you need to have a gold medal to be a champion either. I think we can redefine what a champion is. Maybe just be the champion of yourself, you know?
The champion is the mindset. The mindset, not the medal. It's the mindset. A champion is the ability to adapt and change. Whether it's like constructive or not, whatever comes at you, you can use it as fuel. So we have what's called the wagon wheel of emotion. So each emotion is connected to a certain aspect that you can choose as a positive. So happiness is endurance. When we're happy, we have a lot of endurance. Anger. Now, anger is a tricky one.
That's me.
Yeah. So angry uses power, but you got to channel it, and it can be powerful if you use it correctly. Fear. What's a positive of fear? Fear is perception. It's your perception, so it heightens all your emotion, all your nerve endings. Be aware of it. Don't let it control you to make decisions based on fear, but use it as a way for perception. Sadness gives us reflection.
Wow.
Yep.
We're very flexible. We listen. Okay. When we're sad, it's a time to use that part. Now, it's not one clear emotion. It's a type of feeling we have, and this is the one that I tell people: never make a decision or do anything skilled during this feeling. It's frustration. Frustration is clear. It's not clear. It's undecided, and it really wreaks havoc on our nervous system. So we clearly do anything. So frustration, you've got to clear it. You've got to breathe it out. Change it to anger, no problem. And if it's clean and clear, you can channel it. So all of those things is, again, knowing yourself. So for me, if I don't get it right away, I get mad. I get angry. If I don't, so calm down, channel it. Don't, if I get sad, okay, sad, I'm kind of down, whatever. Okay, shake it off, but also use it to think about it. Write some things down to kind of figure it out, and then eventually allow it to run its course, and then once you use reflection and understanding, then you have some realizations, then you get happy, you have inspiration, and you move again. So there's a lot of ways that you can use, and that was what I learned through Kung Fu. It was a technique actually that we used to help channel, and Bruce Lee talked about it too. The one thing is have emotional content in whatever you do. Channel energy into it, whatever emotion is, emotional content within it, and it gives you power. And that's what I love about the acting thing, because I can use that as channeling, and I have years of skating to be able to act. It's like having something to skate about. Now I have something to act about. I can channel these, right? Yeah. Be your authentic self as well. Being your authentic self it'll always lead you in the right direction.
Yeah.
But tapping onto that for my final words, I was going to say, talked about the competitor and then how we moved into the show business. You cannot lose your essence. If in competitive skating, you might have to tone it down because you have to fit in within the rules. Once you move into show skating, we actually need to tap onto who you are to be able to bring out the best on a performance.
Personality.
So I cannot express how important it is to be yourself, because you do not want to be the copy of somebody else.
Right.
I can only
Unapologetically.
only have one of each. So I have two of the same. When I need variety, when I need, everybody to be different, and when I need to have so many types of humans for a performance, instead of all the same little robots behaving the same. That is so
perfect example of that, where there's 11 spots in that cast and every character is so personality driven. Like, it would be so hard for the characters to interchange and to throw understudies in because they're so character driven.
In a movie, why would I cast two detectives exactly the same when I need everybody to keep their own personality?
Yeah.
So do not misunderstand, especially in show business, I can do whatever I want. There's no rules. Not what I'm saying. There are rules. You kind of have to fit in within the rules that the company asks you, and you have to be respectful. You can be yourself.
Right.
And this is the main thing that we're talking about. Know thyself, or understand who you are. And we need this. We need to bring yourself to the table. This is what we're buying. This is who we're casting. This is who we want. We want you. Sometimes, maybe not because of your skills. Maybe the energy that you bring in. Maybe because
how you make people feel around you. You know, there's people that they smile and it's contagious. Maybe I just want pretty flower so my cast is in peace and my cast is happy. Maybe you're not the most brilliant skater in my, but you're the one that everybody looks up to. Why? Because you make everyone happy.
Mhm.
So you got to understand that casting goes beyond skills.
Yeah, I love that.
I love
You
it.
guys, I cannot thank you enough for these insights. Truly, like, I feel like I've learned so much.
Same.
And I'm so excited to share this with a lot of eager people who I think are needing this kind of discussion right now in their life. It's so meaningful.
Yeah, we're super grateful.
Our half an hour conversation.
Yeah, sorry. I know.
Lots of material there because we'll go off on a tangent talking about
Yeah.
things.
But that's the best part. That's the best part is, like, you know, we're just trying to.
Mama and Papa, because I hope we are approachable enough that if somebody needs something, you guys are comfortable enough to come and ask us, and we can provide a little bit of help. And we all want to be there and have our doors open, even if you've never worked with us or you've never met us, but you know that maybe you saw this interview and you feel like you need to approach, you know, there's social media, there's our email, there's whatever, but people call us Mama and Papa for a reason.
Well, I'm going to be sure to link your social media so that people can reach out to you, because this conversation is so important right now, and I am really grateful. Thank you guys so much.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank
From all of us here at the Edge Collective, we're so happy you're able to join us on this video today.
As you guys know, we are new to this, so there are a lot of startup costs to consider.
Please check out the link below for GoFundMe. If you are willing and able to help, it'd be greatly appreciated.
And thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time.